My name is Madeline Carter, and the day my family shattered started in my mother's sunlit kitchen, where everything looked gentle and nothing was. The air smelled like lemons and sugar. My 16-year-old daughter, Riley, stood beside me trembling, clutching her bank statement as if it were a broken heart in paper form. For 3 years, she had babysat after school, on weekends, in summer heat and winter cold, saving every dollar for her school trip to France. $4,200, not a gift, not luck, but her discipline made real. Then my mother borrowed it. Riley came to me sobbing, whispering, "Mom, I'll never get to go now." Her voice wasn't angry, it was wounded, the kind of hurt that changes a child quietly. When I confronted my mom, she didn't hesitate. Arms folded, chin high, she said, "She's 16. She has time. Your sister's wedding is once in a lifetime." Claire, my sister, didn't even look at Riley. I smiled, calm, polished, dangerous. "You're right," I said. Inside, something inside me burned clean. What they didn't know is this. For 8 months, I had secretly paid $31,000 toward Claire's lavish destination wedding. Planner, venue, dress, everything, because my parents couldn't afford it. I never asked for credit, but generosity without respect is not love, it's a leash. Under the counter, I opened my phone. One tap. The first cancellation went through. The wedding machine began to stall. And no one in that kitchen had any idea the ground was already moving beneath them. The kitchen felt smaller after that first cancellation, like the walls were quietly leaning in on us. My mother poured iced tea with casual precision, ice clinking like nothing in the world had shifted, but the air between us had turned sharp enough to cut. Riley stood close to me, her fingers wrapped in the hem of my blouse, eyes glassy yet stubbornly brave. I kissed the top of her head and told her we'd talk in the car. She nodded without speaking, too tired to fight, too hurt to hope. Claire finally broke the silence, waving her hand as if shooing away an insect. "Mom, can we stop being dramatic? It's just money. Madeline has plenty." Plenty. The word landed like a slap, as if my sleepless nights, my overtime shifts, my sacrifices were invisible, as if I were an endless well they could dip into whenever convenient. I kept my smile gentle. "Excuse me, I need to make a quick call." In the hallway, I opened my email. Subject: Wedding planner. Cancellation confirmed. A single pillar of the wedding had already vanished. I called Riley's school next. I asked, calmly but firmly, if her trip could be reinstated once the funds were restored. The administrator hesitated. Not a yes, not a no, but not a closed door either. When I returned to the kitchen, my mother was laughing about floral centerpieces. Claire was scrolling her phone. Then Claire's screen buzzed. Her smile flickered. "Why is the venue emailing me?" she muttered. My mother waved it off. Probably nothing. But Claire's face had gone bloodless. I took Riley's hand. "Let's go home." Outside, heat shimmered over the driveway. Riley squeezed my fingers. "Mom, what did you do?" I said nothing, because in my pocket, my phone buzzed again. Second cancellation approved. Somewhere across town, a grand ballroom quietly slipped out of their reach. That night, the house felt too quiet, the kind of silence that hums in your bones. Riley curled up on the couch with her laptop balanced on her knees, scrolling through pictures of Paris, the Seine glowing at dusk, stone bridges, tiny cafes. She stared at the screen like she was trying to memorize a life that might slip away. I sat at the dining table, receipts and contracts spread everywhere, proof of every dollar I had poured into Claire's wedding without a single thank you. Then my phone rang. "Claire." I let it go to voicemail. She called again, and again. On the third call, I answered. "What did you do?" she snapped, breath shaking. "I canceled the planner," I said evenly. Silence. "Then, you can't do that. It's my wedding." "You're right," I replied, "which means it should have been your responsibility." In the background, I heard my mother grab the phone. "Madeline, fix this immediately." I glanced at Riley. She was watching me, eyes wide, fragile hope flickering. "I will fix something," I said quietly. Just not your wedding. The line went dead. Less than an hour later, my mother was at my door, pounding like thunder. She stormed in without permission, fury blazing. "You are ruining your sister's life," she spat. Riley stood up slowly. "Grandma, you took my money." My mother scoffed. "You'll earn it back." I stepped in front of my daughter. My voice was low, steady, final. "Leave." She froze, clearly not used to hearing that from me. At the doorway, she hissed, "You'll regret this." I closed the door behind her. Then I opened my laptop. Caterer canceled. The confirmation email landed cold and clinical. Riley sat beside me now, silent but steadier. Outside, my mother's car peeled away. Inside, I realized this was no longer about cash. It was about respect. And I was nowhere near finished. Morning arrived too ordinary for the damage that had already been done. Sunlight pooling across the floor, coffee hissing in the machine, birds arguing in the maple tree outside. Riley left for school quietly, backpack slung low. Before stepping out, she wrapped her arms around me and held on longer than usual. "You're still my hero," she whispered. I watched her walk down the driveway, shoulders straight, even though I knew her heart was bruised. The moment the door closed, my phone detonated with messages. Relatives accused me of jealousy. Cousins called me unstable. My mother had already built a narrative. Madeline is overreacting. Madeline is sabotaging family. Then Claire posted a dramatic black and white story. Betrayal hurts the most when it's blood. I didn't respond. I acted. One email went out to the luxury boutique holding Claire's custom dress, the one I had fully paid for. Subject: ownership reversion notice. Minutes later, confirmation. The dress was locked, pending resolution. My mother called crying, real tears, polished into a weapon. "You're humiliating us. People are talking." "Good," I said softly. That afternoon the school called back. If the money was restored within 48 hours, Riley's seat in France could be reinstated. I didn't confront anyone. Instead, I invited my mother to dinner. "Come over tonight. Let's talk like adults." She accepted instantly, convinced I had broken. By sunset, my house smelled like rosemary chicken. At 7:03 p.m., her heels clicked across my floor like tiny verdicts. I placed a thick folder in front of her, every receipt, every dollar I had paid. Her face drained of color. My phone buzzed on the table. "Fourth cancellation. Music confirmed." She looked from the screen to me. And for the first time in years, my mother looked afraid. Dinner sat untouched between us, steam curling toward the ceiling like something waiting to break. My mother stared at the folder as if it might burn her. Claire arrived breathless and rattled, clutching her phone like a lifeline, eyes red, mascara half ruined. "You need to fix this," Claire said before she even said hello. I poured wine slowly, deliberately. "Sit." She rolled her eyes, then sat. I slid a second folder across the table. Contracts, invoices, confirmations, all in my name. "You didn't pay for any of this," I said calmly. "I did." My mother whispered. "We didn't know." "You didn't ask," I replied. Riley came downstairs then, backpack still on one shoulder. She didn't speak. She simply stood beside me, close enough that they couldn't pretend she wasn't part of this. Claire let out a brittle laugh. "So this is punishment because Mom took some money? That's childish." I met her gaze without blinking. "I'm not punishing you. I'm stepping back." Then I placed Riley's bank statement on the table. Silence cracked open. My phone buzzed again. "Fifth cancellation. Photographer confirmed." Claire gasped, grabbing her phone. Her wedding was unraveling in real time, right in front of her. Tears spilled down her face now, real, panicked, helpless. "You can't do this," she whispered. I softened for a heartbeat. I already did. My mother exhaled shakily. "What do you want?" I looked at Riley, then back at them. "I want her $4,200 returned tonight, with an apology." Claire started to argue. I placed my phone flat on the table, screen glowing with more pending cancellations. She swallowed. Outside, streetlights flickered on. Inside, the balance of power shifted, and they were the ones waiting for my answer. They sent the transfer before the hour was over. Riley's phone lit up on the table, $4,200 received. For a long second, no one moved. Then Riley covered her mouth, shoulders shaking, and ran to me. I wrapped her in my arms and felt something unclench inside my chest that I hadn't even realized I'd been carrying. My mother offered a stiff apology, eyes lowered, words careful. Claire mumbled something that sounded like regret, but carried the faint edge of resentment. I accepted it, not warmly, but clearly. Then I did the thing that made both of them freeze. I did not restore a single wedding vendor. My mother blinked. But you got what you wanted. For my daughter, I said evenly. Not for your wedding. Claire's jaw tightened. So this was revenge. I almost laughed. No, this is boundaries. That night, Riley fell asleep on my shoulder, phone clutched like proof that dreams could come back to life. At dawn, I called the school and formally reinstated her trip. When I told her, she screamed into a pillow and then laughed until she cried. But my phone kept buzzing. Vendors were calling, discounts, promises, last-minute deals. I ignored them all. Instead, I typed one message to the family group chat. The wedding is yours to rebuild. Without me. Replies exploded instantly. Anger, panic, guilt, blame. I muted the thread. 2 hours later, Claire appeared on my porch, pale, trembling, holding her dress bag like a lifeline. Please, she whispered. I'll pay you back everything. I looked at the bag, then at her. No, I said gently. She sank onto my steps and sobbed like a child who had finally understood the cost of her choices. I stayed inside, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't rushing to save her. And that silence was louder than any argument. Riley left for France 2 weeks later, under a sky so bright it almost felt staged. At the airport, she squeezed my hand until my fingers went numb, then turned back once more just to grin at me, confident, lighter, taller somehow, before disappearing towards security with her backpack bouncing on one shoulder. I stood there alone, watching her go, and felt something settle deep inside my ribs, quiet, steady, unbreakable. On the drive home, my phone kept buzzing. Claire had rebuilt parts of her wedding, smaller venue, simpler menu, frantic compromises that felt rushed and fragile. Relatives begged me to keep the peace, to be the bigger sister, to let it go. I let them talk into the void. At home, I opened an old storage bin filled with family photographs, holidays where I stood on the edge of the frame, birthdays where Claire's cake was always bigger, moments where Riley had been smiling politely while being quietly overlooked. I didn't burn them. I simply closed the lid and slid the box out of sight. My mother came by that evening, careful, softer, almost older. She handed me an envelope, a handwritten apology that trembled at the edges. I read every line slowly. No excuses this time. Just ownership. I didn't hug her, but I didn't push her away either. Later, Claire called. Her voice shook, but it was steadier than before. I didn't understand how much you carried, she admitted. I answered honestly. I loved you enough to pay. I loved myself enough to stop. That night, Riley sent her first photo from Paris, the Seine glowing like molten gold beneath dusk. I cried in my kitchen, quietly, without shame. Not from relief. From clarity. I was no longer the family's safety net. I was my daughter's foundation. And for the first time, that felt like enough. Claire's wedding still happened, just not the one my family had imagined. The ballroom was smaller, the flowers simpler, the dress different. It wasn't extravagant, but it was honest. No smoke, no spectacle, no borrowed brilliance. I went as a sister, not a financier. Riley stood beside me in a soft navy dress she had bought with her own money. When Claire thanked her during the toast, voice trembling, eyes wet, my daughter nodded with quiet grace. Not victorious, not bitter, just grown. At one point, my mother took my hands across the table. Her palms were warm, her grip shaky. You were right, she whispered. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I simply squeezed back once and let go. On the drive home, rain streaked the windshield in long silver threads. Riley leaned against my shoulder and said softly, "You didn't humiliate anyone. You just stopped letting them ignore us." I laughed under my breath and kissed her hair. At home, I placed her Eiffel Tower photo on the refrigerator, front and center, where everyone could see it. Then I opened my laptop and wrote a single line to myself. Love without boundaries is not love. Months passed. My mother began therapy. Claire paid me back slowly, not just in money, but in behavior, calls before decisions, respect before requests, accountability instead of entitlement. But the real shift wasn't financial. Riley came back from France different, braver, louder, certain of her worth. She spoke up now, didn't shrink, didn't apologize for existing. And I changed too. I learned that strength doesn't need fury. It needs consistency. That kindness can be firm. That silence can be powerful. Late one night, rain tapping softly against the roof, Riley and I sat together editing her travel videos, laughing at ourselves, dreaming bigger than ever. I wrapped my arm around her and felt completely whole. No guilt, no fear, no old patterns pulling me backward. Just clarity, calm, and earned peace.